The room had always been the quietest in the house, the one place where even the creaking, groaning bones of the old Victorian didn't dare to speak. It was tucked away at the end of the hallway on the 3rd floor, the door always closed, forgotten behind layers of dust. But now, after everything that happened, I wish I had never opened that damn door. I inherited the house from my uncle, a man I barely knew but whose reputation was a stain on the family. The whispers had always been there, circulating through drunken holiday dinners, madness, they said. Dark obsessions. A collector of things that shouldn't be collected. When I asked what that meant, no one could give me a straight answer, just sideways glances and murmurs about a locked room and things best left alone. And yet, curiosity is a wicked thing, isn't it? The first week, I managed to resist. I told myself I'd never even bother with that room. The house was big enough, echoing with old wealth and secrets I didn't want to unravel. But something about that door nagged at me. It was like a whisper, soft but insistent, scratching at the edge of my mind. I'd catch myself standing in front of it, hand on the knob, feeling a strange heat radiate from the wood. On the 8th day, I gave in. The key had been left in a small velvet pouch, tucked into one of my uncle's drawers. It felt cold in my palm, far colder than it should have. As I stood in front of the door, my breath fogging in the summer air, I almost turned back. But then the whisper in my mind sharpened, demanding, and my fingers moved on their own. The lock clicked, and I swung the door open. The air hit me first. It was thick and syrupy, reeking of rot and something sweet, something uncomfortably human. The room was small, lined with shelves that sagged under the weight of strange, glistening objects, jars filled with preserved animal organs, rusted ceremonial daggers, and masks made of stretched, grayish leather. But what drew my eye was the thing in the center of the room. It was a box. No, not just a box, a puzzle. It sat on a pedestal of obsidian, an intricate, cube-like structure made of polished black metal and etched with red veins that pulsed, as if a heart beat deep within it. The veins seemed to shift and writhe, forming symbols that made my eyes water if I stared too long. "Don't touch it," a voice whispered. I spun around, knife-sharp fear cutting through my chest, but the room was empty. The door had closed behind me. Of course, it had. The house was old, I told myself. Settling. But that whisper had been real as the sweat gathering at the base of my spine. My uncle's journals littered the floor in a madman sprawl, pages torn, ink smudged with the desperation of someone on the brink. I knelt and picked one up. The words were almost unintelligible, written in a scrawl that made my hand shake just from holding it. The box is not an object. It's a door. And what lies beyond, oh, God, it sees me. It waits, hungry and eternal. I cannot sleep, for I hear the whispers. I cannot dream, for I feel its touch. There is no salvation, no peace, only its will. A gust of wind slammed into me, though there were no windows open, no air vents. The door rattled on its hinges, and I turned back to the box. The veins pulsed faster, the symbols twisting in ways that felt personal, like they were reaching for something deep in my soul. And then, without thinking, I touched it. A scream tore through the room, a sound so unearthly it felt like 1,000 razors slicing through my ears. The box shifted beneath my hand, twisting, unfolding like a mechanical flower. I tried to pull back, but my fingers were stuck, rooted in place. The metal burned cold, searing into my palm, and the room seemed to bend around me, stretching, warping, until reality itself broke apart. I fell. No, not just fell, descended. The world unraveled into darkness, a void that swallowed everything but me. And then I landed, hard, on something that felt slick and wet. I looked around, my breath coming out in ragged, terrified gasps. I was in a chamber. The walls glistened with something organic, fleshy, pulsing in rhythm with a deep, ominous heartbeat. Chains hung from the ceiling, some swaying gently, others wrapped around skeletal remains. The floor was slick with a dark, viscous liquid that reeked of blood and decay. "Welcome," a voice crooned, deep and oozing with a sinister pleasure. I turned, and there he stood, it stood. A figure clad in tattered, leather-like robes, its skin pale and stretched taut over a skull-like face. Nails like rusted spikes jutted from its head, forming a grotesque crown. Its eyes glowed with a cold, blue flame, and its mouth twisted into something that might have been a smile if it weren't so damn predatory. "You sold the box," it said, stepping forward, the chains clinking softly. "You've called to us, seeker of pleasures unknown." "What the fuck is this?" I stammered, backing away, slipping in the viscous liquid. My heart was pounding so hard I thought my chest would split open. The thing tilted its head, as if amused. "This is our realm," it said. "You sought the forbidden, the boundaries between pleasure and pain. And now you will be initiated." Chains shot out from the walls, wrapping around my wrists and ankles, yanking me off the ground. I screamed, the cold metal biting into my skin, drawing blood. The creature drew closer, its nails scraping along my cheek, leaving trails of fire. "You mortals think you understand pain," it whispered, its breath cold and cloying. "But your suffering is mere child's play compared to the wonders we offer." The chains pulled tighter, and I felt my joints strain, the agony shooting through me like lightning. The creature's touch was both caress and torment, a symphony of sensation that blurred the lines between ecstasy and horror. I tried to scream, but another chain looped around my throat, choking off the sound. Suddenly, from behind the creature, the darkness split open, and other figures emerged. They were twisted mockeries of the human form, one with a face split vertically, peeling open to reveal a mouthful of writhing, wet tongues, another with a chest cavity torn open to expose organs that pulsed and quivered, like they were singing a song only they could hear. They surrounded me, their hands cold and clawed, tearing at my clothes, at my flesh, each touch bringing new layers of pain and twisted pleasure. My vision blurred, and my mind fractured, unable to comprehend the horror. "Stop!" I managed to croak, but the leader only laughed, a sound that echoed through the chamber, thick with mockery. "There is no stopping," it said. "You are ours now." And then, just as I was about to break, about to lose myself entirely to this hellish torment, the box, shuddered in my hand. I still held it, its edges cutting into my palm. With every ounce of strength I had left, I twisted it, forcing the pieces back into place. The world shuddered. The chains fell away, the monsters recoiling, their forms flickering. The leader snarled, reaching for me, but the void swallowed everything. I felt myself yanked upward, torn from that place, back through the unraveling dark. I landed hard on the wooden floor of the room, gasping, drenched in sweat and blood. The box was in my hand, now silent, the veins dormant. The door to the room creaked open, and I stumbled out, slamming it shut behind me. I've never been the same. The bruises, the cuts, they healed. But the memory, the touch of those things, never faded. I feel them sometimes, at the edge of my dreams, whispering promises of pain and pleasure beyond human understanding. The box still calls to me from that room, singing to me in a language of agony and desire. And every night, I feel the pull. Every night, I wonder how much longer I can resist.